What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the PlayStation Drive episode 94. My name's Matt, and I'll be your driver for this wonderful day's events. I'm joined for the first time making her PlayStation Drive debut, the queen of the pigeon-brained herself, Lockleth, joining us. What's up, Lockleth?
Hey, hello.
Hey, what's going on? How are ya?
You know,
Yeah?
things
Things and
happen
stuff?
in the
Yeah.
world.
No, I love your pigeon shirt. It suits you perfectly as all things, and it has a monocle and a top hat.
It's
It's a
like
great shirt.
me and Ryan's branding in a shirt.
That is literally perfect.
Coming for
That
you,
is
Ryan.
coming for you, Ryan. Watch out. Not all. See, at least Lockleth accepts the top hat and the monocle. Ryan's still like kicking and screaming, but it's gonna happen, Mr. Weatherman on the moose. You just wait and see. Or my name isn't Matt Blue Box Swinsky, as I was named since birth. On this week's show, we're going to be talking all about Tchia. We just want to give a huge shout out to the developers who provided us with review keys. Lockleth has played it. I have played it. We have thoughts and feelings. We're going to get into all that, along with more PlayStation NFT stuff, March's PlayStation Plus, and a whole lot more. So strap in. But before we do all that, we have to clean this incredibly dirty garage of ours. We just keep leaving the court just keeps leaving the garage door open. Rodents get in. Pigeons have taken roost up in the rafters. There's for some reason just a bowl of cat milk. I don't own a cat, nor do I own milk, but it's here. So I'm stuck cleaning this thing out every time, even though he's not here. But if you're watching this on youtube.com/carpool gaming right now, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. If you're listening to this on your podcast network of choice, please leave us that 5-star review. Hit us with those thoughts and feelings. We appreciate you all very, very much. And of course, if you have extra bucks to toss our way to tip yo drivers, head to patreon.com/carpool gaming. Put in your tip. Out comes a cornucopia of content for you to consume. But without further ado, Lockleth. You and I haven't actually really ever talked too much about music, and music is one of my favorite things. It helps me get through the day. It helps me get through the month. Some would even say it helps me get through the year. So I wanted to ask you, because of course music is important, but I want to know what's on your playlist and why has it been Tchia?
Oh, I was gonna say I listened
Tchia.
to Bohemian Rhapsody today, so
Did you?
I thought that's what we were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Playlist, Queen,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
because I are Queen. Yes,
You are queen.
all the things, but
All of them.
Tchia, yes, that's a
Yeah,
game.
we've been playing it. Yeah, once again, huge thank you to developers for providing us with review keys. I finished it. It took me about 8 hours, I would want to say, and there's still plenty more for me to do, so it's not like I've come anywhere close to 100%ing it. Playing on PS5, Lockleth, what about yourself? How deep are you into the game? Where are you playing? What are you thinking?
So I'm a few hours in, and are we
Mhm.
surprised I have not finished it? Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm on my happy side of the internet
Yep.
of taking my time with games. They don't call me the cozy gamer for nothing.
No, they don't.
But I get lost. Not technically lost. There's a map. There's a compass. If you play the game. But I want to explore, and I get lost in the exploration of it all. And so I love it though. It's been so much fun because I'm
Yeah.
also playing Breath of the Wild
Okay.
for kind of a proper first time.
Right.
And so
So
this is kind of giving me those vibes, minus the, death.
the death. Yeah. Tchia, of course, if anybody's unaware, is a very, very adorable action adventure game that is coming to PS5, and it's hitting PlayStation Plus Essential and not Essential, hitting PS Plus Extra day one when it comes out on March 21st. So you can check it out if you have the extra subscription. It's super, super cute. It's good that you brought up Breath of the Wild because it definitely has those vibes. I like it. I think this is a good game. I think that it has its issues, but I find that despite them, I didn't want to stop playing. I kept enjoying my time with it. It has a really, really cool mechanic where you can basically like throw your brain or your soul into like objects and
Yeah.
animals. So like you can take over a coconut if you would like and just roll along in coconut form. You can control a pigeon.
Yes.
And become truly pigeon-brained as you take flight and fly around. one of my favorites was to just become an explosive rock and then just kept throwing myself at people and exploding them. That was fun. But yeah, I think the game is really cute. I think the story is kind of darker than I was expecting.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
I didn't know a lot about the story going into it. I did see some early gameplay, off of YouTube, some of the
mhm.
earlier people that got access to it. Um, so I didn't really know what the story was about. I just knew you play as a little girl that can, take the form of inanimate objects and actual like animals and critters and things.
Yep.
Which is another reason that it's taking me a while to get through it because like every creature I'm like, "Ooh, I want to be this crab. Ooh, I want to be this gecko. Ooh, I want to be this pigeon." Like, "Ooh, I want to be this, clump of bananas, whatever that would be called," and just roll around.
And that's the thing. It's really really entertaining hopping into all of these
Mhm.
different forms because especially because it's like once you hop into one for the first time, you're kind of like, okay, you're not expecting a plank of wood to
Yeah.
move like this, but it does.
Yeah.
You're not expecting there's a couple of mechanics that like I'm just kind of left confused by. I think it's like dogs can dig.
Yeah, and pigs too, because I've also been a pig and you can do the
Yeah.
same thing.
Haven't found a reason to dig, but you can.
Mhm.
That's definitely a thing you can do. My favorite was definitely just to hop any passing bird, and then just kind of fly around, just because I find that the boat is just okay. I
Oh
find it's
yeah.
kind of hard to use. There's a different position on the boat that you have to be standing to control speed, and then you have to like leave that area of the boat, go to or the raft, to go to the next one to control actual like steering. So I like beached that thing accidentally so many times, and then would be like, all right, I don't need this thing anymore, and then would proceed to just basically like soul shift into anything that I could. And there's this other cool mechanic where you can go up to the top of a tree and basically like go back and forth and use it to like elastic yourself forward.
Yeah, I was
Um,
gonna ask if you did that because I knew that mechanic going into it, so that was one of the first things that I did.
mhm.
And did you notice when you were flying around as a bird, you could poop on people?
Yep, I did. I did notice that. I didn't actually try
Oh,
to
I
get
didn't.
close enough. Did they react?
No, 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 no. They don't react,
Oh,
but like I just was like, it's one of those things like, I like any normal person, I assume this is normal. People have
right.
been pooped on by a bird.
Hmm.
I have.
Yep, me too.
So like I wanted to see what it was like, okay?
Right.
There was a little village. There
Hmm.
was a child running around. I was like, "Hey,
It,
child."
it, it was a child that you chose.
Well, it was just there. The child was just there.
The child was just
Yeah.
there was
The
there was a
humans were
village.
the adults were under awnings like, proper adults need to, running the kitchen and being in this little hut over here, where there's a child running around with a dog, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna poop on the dog," so
No, no, that'd be ridiculous.
yeah, it's silly. No reaction, though.
No reaction. Yeah, like the game has a lot of really cool systems. Like I've had some really interesting bugs. There was one point where I left a cutscene and the entire screen was just black. I could
Mm,
hear everything, but I had to reload the game to kind of pull the screen back in. I had another one where while I was swimming, my character all of a sudden started swimming upside down, and then when I jumped out of the water, they proceeded to stay upside down.
yeah.
So I was literally like almost like gravity was reversed. I was flipped upside down, exactly like that. Yeah, like just upside down, running around on what seemed to be nothing, with my head scraping across the floor.
Ooh,
And then when I entered the cutscene, the character fixed themselves.
yeah.
There was a shrine that I hopped into because there's a bunch of shrines. There's a ton to do in this game in terms of like what's around the map. There's like you can like build up the rocks and that gives you like new abilities. One of the first ones I found gave me infinite breath underwater, so that quickly solved the problem of not being able to breathe underwater.
Mm,
um there was there's like there's like these like wooden carvings that you can do, and it's like you have to match them to the picture and they unlock shrines. But when I went into one shrine specifically, I couldn't do anything. It was a race, and like literally I couldn't move, couldn't jump. Like I was just stuck there and the timer's going up and it's like, get a gold. I'm like, I'd like to, but I can't do anything.
yeah,
Being stuck in
you
this position.
you had a lot more bugs than I did, and obviously there's gonna be bugs because 'cause we're playing, like, an early
Hmm.
access version of the game, so I'm sure there will be a day 1 patch that comes out to hopefully fix these things. There was at least one update that came out
Hmm.
yesterday, I
Yeah.
guess?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. The only issues I had was I'd had the one black like
Screen, yeah.
transition between scenes, and
Was
I
it
had to
early
just
on in the game?
yeah, it
Okay, it
was
may have been the
like
same moment. Yeah.
it might have been the same time. And then there's one other time where I like jumped too high when I landed. She was stuck in like a crouch position, but all I had to do was jump again. Like she was basically just crouch crawling.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, crap, what do I do? So I just jumped and it fixed it. But those are the only bugs that I witnessed. Like I didn't have like swimming upside down as a
Yeah,
thing, but
that one was hilarious. It didn't really
yeah.
affect anything. The one that, like, not being able to do anything in the shrine was a little bit disappointing because those
Mm,
are very important. They give you more stamina essentially if you complete them properly. So like you mentioned, like I'm sure that these are things that will be kind of fixed as we go, or at least I hope so, because again, like these are like some of them are a little bit disappointing, but I'm sure the devs are aware and they're working on it. But yeah, I found the story to be pretty interesting. It kept me enthralled pretty much the entire time. It has some pretty cool twists and turns, but what I found actually, there is a, I don't want to call it like a kid friendly mode, but there's basically like a toggle that you can use in the settings that essentially make some of the not as kid friendly sections more kid friendly. Like I don't really
hmm.
know how they do that because like slight spoilers, but like there's like a running gag with the chicken that's had its head cut off, and this thing keeps running around and just like splurting blood all over the place, and it comes up multiple times. Um, there are babies that get eaten. Like
Oh,
exactly, there are things that happen that I'm like,
wow.
I did not expect this from Tchia, but here we are. But like that's what I mean. So like there's a mode there that I think would probably dull some of those sections down because none of
Hmm.
it's like it's all played in a very cartoony and fun,
Yeah.
in a funny way, but it's a little jarring when you're not really expecting it. But I think kind of like my biggest kind of criticism of the game is that like like I don't like the boat. I don't think it's very fun to use, and like for a
Hmm.
game with so much water, it's important to do so. But I found that there's just like a lot of empty space in terms of when you're moving from point A to point B, there isn't a ton to do. There's a certain point, I would say about halfway through the game, that they add some more stuff that makes it more interesting. But
Hmm.
it takes you like 3 to 4 hours to get to that point. Um, and just like moving from point A to point B can be fun if you're kind of soul hopping, but then you have a stamina bar that basically lets you. There's a stamina bar as you're climbing, but there's also like a soul bar that lets you stay in these forms for a
Yeah.
certain amount of time. And if you use a certain amount of the bar, it doesn't regenerate past a certain point until you go back and eat or you kind of rest at a campfire. And you're using this soul hopping mechanic so often that you're pretty much like stuck with not the full bar the most of the time. So it means getting from point A to point B was sometimes just again running down a path or trying to get the timing right for this tree jumping. So while like it kept me engaged. There were moments that I was just kind of like, I wish I could just fast travel there, or I wish I could move quickly. Like I wish there was something else that I could do to kind of get there. But I don't know, Lockleth. What are you thinking of it with the kind of your opening few hours?
So, uh, I have not progressed very far in the story. So, like, these shocking bits that you're saying that of it getting darker, like, I'm
Right?
kind of glad you're mentioning them because now I know to kind of be aware that it does get a little bit darker than you expect
Yep.
because, I until you said that, I would not have had no idea that that would be coming.
Yep.
Because so far it's been, for me, it's just been hopping into animals, becoming, a random crab on the beach or whatever. And like my whole thing has been finding those what are they called? Like they're not, I guess they're artifacts, but they're like those braided
The
things.
trinkets.
Yeah, the trinkets.
Hmm.
They're like braided trinkets is what they're called. And you can see them on your map.
Hmm.
And if there's like points on a map, like there's something here, there's a treasure here that unlocks like costumes, which that's a whole nother thing. Like
Yep.
I love the costumes. There's so many different ones. I'm dressed as a blue giant bird right now. Like my character looks like a bird walking around. Like I'm full pigeon in this game by this point. Like I can be a pigeon, I can dress like one.
Yep.
You could play the ukulele as well and
Yes.
like free play it. I like that aspect. And there's like rhythm bits in the game too that is nice. And you have the option to hit autoplay
Hmm.
where you can just enjoy the music and you don't have to do the rhythm bit if you don't feel like it. And I did do that, like you could turn it on and off throughout that whole scene
Hmm.
too. And I did that too. Like as it was getting too hard, I was like, okay, I'll play this bit. And
Yeah.
then I would hear back to the bit that I could do, and I would play some more, and then I would like, okay, autoplay. But there were so many aspects to it that I'm like, I'm in the early stages, so I'm like in that honeymoon stage right now where I'm like,
Hmm.
ooh, I've got all these things to do. It's been a lot of fun for me. I will say you were talking about the spirit bar,
Yes.
and how it doesn't regenerate unless you eat or sleep or whatever.
Hmm.
That hasn't really been a problem for me, and as much as I take like a pig running around or a deer just to get, certain animals can run faster too. So
Yeah.
like if you're like a little gecko, which was fun, you just can't get very far.
No, I was dying the first time I took over that thing. It's just like I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to stay inside you, but you don't move very fast.
No, it was just for the gag. It was just
Hmm.
for the joke. I was even a locust at one point. That was wild. I did not even know you could be like the bugs. I thought those were just, part of the atmosphere, but no,
Hmm.
you can be a green locust flying around. But like that part wasn't an issue for me.
Hmm.
And as much as I was hopping in and out of different animals, you'd think it would be. I don't know. But it does, I don't know if it shows it up on the map before you find them, but there are like stands, like food stands
Yeah.
too. So it's not just the campfire that you can eat.
Hmm.
So there are some in between moments too. But I will say I'm like half the time just running as the girl, and then half the time I'm running as an animal. So I guess it varies, but that for me wasn't an issue, but it could be for some because you're right. You get like it's like 3 bars and only the first two will fill up and you don't get that third bar
Hmm.
until you eat or something.
It's just like when the game starts asking you to make longer journeys and like it's literally like
Mm,
go all the way there to end up coming all the way back for the next mission. It's little things like that where you're like, and again, the movement when you kind of get into this flow state of like, okay, I'm gonna hop off this tree. Oh, I see a bird, catch the bird in midair, go as far as I can, hop out, slide down this mountain to then hop onto another tree. Like it can get into a really, really cool like kind of flow state as you move through it. But there are other times where it's just like wide open space with nothing to hop off of, nothing to turn into, where you're literally just like
mm-hmm.
running. But I something that I do want to say that I think is really, really cool. Like the game opens with almost like a bit of like a cultural explanation to like where the game comes from, because it is inspired by New Caledonia, and the devs are they're a developer called Awaseb. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing that, but it's really, really cool because they infuse so much of their culture into the game. The music is incredible. I think that was one of my favorite parts throughout this entire game is how beautiful the music is. And I
Mm-hmm.
like you mentioned, like there are like different rhythm sections that you actually can play the ukulele or do other things, all kind of built into making the music. The difficulty spikes can be massive. Luckily, like it doesn't matter how good or how bad you are. Similarly to
Yeah.
sometimes where I was like, I'm gonna autoplay this just because I don't want to ruin what is this beautiful music that I feel
It
like I'm
sounds so
butchering.
Exactly, it sounds so pretty, and it's like, I just wanna sit and enjoy some of this
Yep.
instead of, fluffing it up and just hitting the chords completely wrong because there are bits that are kinda difficult,
Right?
but it's not against you. It's like
No.
you don't get it's not there's no points or anything for it.
No, not at all. So it's like the music is just beautiful, and like learning about these little cultural touchstones and like learning about like the history of where these
Mhm.
traditions and stuff come from, I thought was really, really cool because that's not something you usually get in a game. Is this like, here is a culture that you might not know a lot about, and here are parts of it that you can help understand. Every time that you eat at like a campfire, it kind of like it shows you the dish, you eat it, and underneath it
Yeah.
actually gives you like the name of the dish, just like a magazine cutout that lets you know what it is. And these are actual dishes that are inspired by that area.
Mhm.
So I think this game is really, really cool, and I think it's the perfect PlayStation Plus game. Like, and I don't mean that to like to a detriment, just because I feel like this game will be for a lot of people who enjoy your adventure games, your Breath of the Wild likes, and this I can understand why somebody might not resonate with this game as much. So having it on that platform to allow people to hop in and check it out, I think is really, really cool. But I don't know. I really, really enjoyed my time with it, and I'm genuinely excited to hop back in to kind of explore a little bit more, just because there are so many areas that I'm just like, I wonder what's over there. I'm gonna come back to that, like, because that looks cool, and I'm just gonna hop into that pigeon and fly over there again a bit later. But I don't know. I think it's a really, really cool game. I think this is like an easy recommend for me.
Oh, yeah, yeah, same here. Like I said, I haven't gotten into that deep of the story, but just, like, I would say it was cozy. Like, I don't know
Mhm,
about the actual, like, the dark parts of the, the whole story itself. Like, there are some enemies. Like, I don't know if there's
mhm.
any additional enemies outside of the ones that you see early on in the game, which they're just like fabric. It's not
Yeah.
really a being. Um, so I don't know. Like, I was expecting, I'm glad that they did it that way
Mhm.
instead of an actual like evil creature thing.
Yeah.
It's like those and those parts are kind of, I try not to panic, y'all, but I panic a little. Like, are we surprised? I panic.
Yeah, there are some like later game sections where you're being attacked from all angles as you're like wildly
Hmm.
trying to jump, and there's some really really cool moments that just come from like you trying to dodge everything while like hopping into that to hop out of that to hop into that to hop over there to hop
Yes.
into this gas canister and throw it at that thing. Like it gets into some really hectic like ridiculous fun, and that's like kind of my biggest thing with Chia is that like even the issues that I had with the game, like I said, I finished the main story in about 8 hours. None
Hmm.
of them really hindered the experience in a meaningful way. Like the game is so adorable, the graphics are beautiful, the music is fantastic. Like you
Yes.
genuinely want to see what's around the next corner or what's over the next hill. That the game kind of like enthralls you and brings you in. And it's like I think it is a totally like a cozy game. Even like I said, like the darker parts of the story um aren't usually treated very very darkly. Like I'm trying not to spoil anything without kind of trying to
Yeah.
get into it, but like the game is really cool. I'm super super happy that we got an opportunity to play it, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts more as you kind of continue your journey in. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
Chia's
I
a
think
Chia's cool.
Yeah, and I'm with you too on it going to PlayStation Plus, right? Is
Yep.
where it's going to. Because I think if we didn't have, this opportunity to play it early, I was for sure gonna play it through that, just
Yep.
because of that reason. So,
Likewise. Make sure you go check out Chia. Once again, huge thank you to developers for hooking us up with a key. It's going to be on PS5 and the Epic Game Store, so go check it out. But without further ado, Lockleth, we have a whole bunch of news to get into, so let's do that. Into our first story. I want to start with this. It's a very, very sad and heartbreaking story. I'm going to be pulling this from VGC, written by Jordan Midler. Bungie and Guerrilla Games issue statements on the passing of Lance Reddick. The actor was known for his roles as Zavala in Destiny and Silence in Horizon. Very, very sadly, Lance Reddick passed away on Friday. He was 60 years old, and Guerrilla and Bungie both put out statements regarding his loss. Bungie's statement reads, Lance Reddick was an iconic presence on screen in Destiny and most importantly in person. His love for our community shined through in Commander Zavala in his uncompromising dedication to his craft and out of the radiating kindness that touched those around him. To say he will be missed is a profound understatement, yet no less true. Rest in peace, Lance. And Horizon developers Guerrilla put out a statement saying, "Thank you, Lance Reddick, for everything you've brought to the character of Silence, for sharing your infinite talent and wisdom with us, for your generous and warmth and inimitable presence, and for your profound impact, not just as part of our cast, but for our community. We are deeply honored to work with you. You will be missed. We extend our most heartfelt condolences to his loved ones." Very tragic, very, very sad. Of course, Lance was a creative force to be reckoned with, incredibly, incredibly talented person, and he will be very, very much missed. This was sudden and awful, and our hearts go out to his family and to the entire communities that he's been a part of. He seemed like a wonderful human.
yeah, yeah. And my husband just recently started watching The Wire,
Yes.
so that's how I know of him as well. And I kind of started watching that series with him. So when the news came up, I knew who he was because obviously I don't play a lot of PlayStation games.
Hmm.
So that's how I know him from, and he's such a great actor in that as well. So yeah, definitely will be missed for
Hmm.
sure. Definitely sad. Sad to hear. 6 years old.
Yeah.
Not very old as well.
No, way too young. So yeah,
Hmm.
our hearts go out to him and his family. But yeah, he will be very, very much missed. Let's continue on to our next story, coming once again from VGC, written by Tom Ivan. A new PlayStation NFT patent covers cross-platform use and trading. Users could potentially use and sell NFTs across different games and systems. A newly published patent shows that Sony Interactive Entertainment has been exploring ways that it could use NFTs and blockchain technology in games. Filed last year and published on Thursday, Sony's patent is titled NFT Framework for Transferring Using Digital Assets Between Game Platforms. goes on to say that they're still, looking at NFTs, whether this is a patent that's just coming out now, or whether this is something that they're still actively working on, given the what I would call pretty disastrous and implosive NFT debacle, and with Square Enix also still talking about NFTs and the blockchain. I just want all of this stuff out of gaming, Lockleth. I'm so sick and tired. Every time I think that this is dead, it seems that there's another story that pops up talking about NFTs. But what are your thoughts on this? Because I
So my thoughts are simple. Not for this. That's just the end of it. Full stop. Not for this. Not ever. I'll add that at the end.
Yep. Seriously, I just don't understand why they're still talking about this. We've seen the NFT market completely collapse. Like, how many stories of scams or fraud or, theft of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. And like, it was already disheartening enough to hear Square Enix still talking about it and their blockchain NFT games. And now that, PlayStation patents continue to come out talking about this. I hope that this is something that they looked at, Lockleth, and they were like, nah, never mind. And the patent just kind of lives in perpetuity because that's how patents work. I really hope that this isn't something that they're continually actively working on, because we have PlayStation Stars, which obviously seem to be something, NFT-esque. I don't want this, Lockleth. Why do companies continue to work with this? Why?
I don't know, because they're trying to do big money moves or some ish. I don't know. I don't
Big
get
money
it.
moves.
It's stupid. Yeah, it's so dumb.
It's so
I've
dumb.
since the beginning of this, since I heard what they were, I was just like, okay, this is stupid. This is gonna not go well, and yeah,
And yeah, here we
not a
are.
fan.
No, not a fan. Not for this, as
Not
you very,
for
very,
this.
very, very richly said. We'll keep you posted as to whether anything actually comes from this. I sincerely hope not. Our next story, once again from VGC, comes from Andy Robinson, because March's PlayStation Plus game catalog and classic titles have been confirmed. They're hitting the service pretty much already. They'll be starting March 21st, so they'll be going live the day after you listen to this, if you're watching it on day one. Part of the extra and premium game catalog we're getting: Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, Tchia, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction, Ghostwire Tokyo, Life is Strange True Colors, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Life is Strange True, Life is Strange 2, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, Street Fighter V Championship Edition, Untitled Goose Game, Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, Rage 2, Neo, The World Ends With You, and Haven. And on Premium, we're getting Ridge Racer Type 4, which was on PS1, Ape Academy 2 from PSP, and Siphon Filter Dark Mirror PSP. I think this is a great list. Lockleth, what do you think about the games that we're getting on extra this month?
I say, day one, if you haven't played it, Untitled Goose Game. You should play it. I've played it through with my husband on the Switch. It's short. It needs to be longer. I hope they release another one, make it longer next time, because it was just so much fun. And if it's coming to everyone to be able to play it that way, then I say play it. Like, that's high on my recommendation list. And then obviously Life is Strange. Those games are kind of heavy, but they are a little strange too. Definitely recommend those as well.
Yeah, have to completely echo Untitled Goose Game. That weird little game is just so much fun. Just creating and wreaking havoc as a goose for these poor townspeople just doesn't get old. You think it would, and it just doesn't. Of course, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection combines a bunch of the great Uncharted games. Ghostwire Tokyo was one that hit a year ago to kind of middling reviews, but I really like that game. Worth a check out if you have extra. And Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is probably the one that I'm most looking forward to, just because it's a game that I always wanted to check out but never ended up picking up. And of course, as we've already not exclusively, but talked at length about, please go check out Tchia. That game is wonderful. But this is a great list. A very, very great list. Continuing on to our next story from VGC from Jordan Midler. Making Horizon Forbidden West DLC PS5 exclusives let Guerrilla, quote-unquote, charge forward. The expansion, which will be released in April, is not coming to PS4, despite the base game, 2022's Horizon Forbidden West, being released for Sony's current and last-gen consoles. Speaking to the PlayStation blog, Horizon Forbidden West director Mathis de Jong, apologies if I butchered that, I probably did, said, on Horizon Forbidden West, everything we added or increased was something we need to have a plan around on how to optimize for PS4 as well. On Burning Shores, since we can just focus on PS5, we've been able to charge forward, and we're really excited about what we've been able to pull off in creating this stunning post-apocalyptic version of Los Angeles. There's apparently some stuff that there are some sequences that really need the power of the PS5 to really bring forward. But I do think it's interesting, Lockleth, that we did get Forbidden West on PS4 and PS5, but it seems like they're locking the DLC and the expansion only on to PS5. And I know there are some people who are genuinely upset about that because they own Forbidden West on PS4 and may not have a PS5 yet to be able to continue the story. But I was curious as to your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I want to know what the PS4 can't handle that the DLC provides, and that's why, because that's part of the statement, right? They said that the PS5 can handle what the DLC has, or there's tidbits in it or something that the PS5 only, like that's their
Th-
side or story as to why they're doing it that way.
Yep.
I think it sounds I'm smelling bull on that though. Because like you released it to the PS4. I mean, we have a PS4 and a PS5 here at my house, so
Mhm.
regardless, we would be able to play it, but like, not everyone can afford a PS5, and even though they are a little bit more readily available these, um, I don't know. I feel like it's just a way to. I think if there was going to be a new game that they were going to release that was
Yep.
just PS5 and started off just PS5, fine. Yes,
Mhm.
of course. Totally get it. But if you release something on PS4 at all or have it the capability of it being on that system, anything additional adds to the game should also be on that system as well. But that's just my thoughts.
I agree with you entirely. Like they do go on to say that apparently there's a cityscape and some highly detailed surroundings that requires a lot of processing power, and along with this, a particular battle scene that requires a lot of memory and processing power as well. But I'm with you entirely. Like they already released Forbidden West on the PS4, and it looked beautiful there. Like it looked really
Yeah.
really good. I kind of wish they kind of held back a little bit and then made whatever the next chapter of Horizon is exclusively for PS5 on that point, because they already released the base game to audiences. And I know that there's precedent for this before. Final Fantasy VII Remake released the Intergrade DLC only on PS5, and I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. I just think it's kind of it's almost a very anti-consumer move to release
Mm,
something to only one platform, even though it was already originally offered on multiple. I don't like it. I do think it's time to leave the PS4 behind, but I don't think that this was the kind of moment to do so, given how the base game already lives there, and I'm sure it
yeah.
already sold well there. So like
Yeah.
you mentioned, PS5s are expensive, and they still can be tough to find. So a lot of people may not be able to hop in yet. And for the Horizon fans who are still living in PS4, that sucks. That really does suck. So I'm excited to see what Burning Shores is going to be, but I kind of wish they took the time and the effort to put this on both rather than just being like, let's push forward into PS5 on DLC.
Do you
I
know how many games are having to be lessened to fit on a Nintendo Switch? Like, come on. That's why I smell bull. Like, come on. Like, what did you do that cannot just lessen it? I mean,
yeah.
messy. It's just messy.
Yeah, I just wish that they dialed it back in a bit and let everybody experience this. And then if your next entry you want to make PS5 exclusive, 100%, I agree. I think that should be the case. But for a game that's already out on PS4, it feels crappy locking it behind
Mm.
the next gen. But c'est la vie. And our final kind of major news story coming once again from Jordan Midler at VGC. April's first PlayStation Plus games, Behaviors Meet Your Maker. The new IP from Dead by Daylight's creator will launch on PS Plus day one. The post-apocalyptic first-person building game will be released on April 4th, where it will also be claimable on PlayStation Plus at the Essential tier. It's also going to be released on PC, Xbox Series X and X, and Xbox One on the same date. Essentially, what the game is, it has two different modes. One is an outpost defense, and one is a raiding. In the outpost defense, players build outposts, and you can like decorate them with full of like hazards and traps. While on the other side, people can try and invade and kind of clear your map. So it's almost
Oh.
like a bloodier, more like cyberpunk-esque Mario Maker, essentially. Um, I think this is cool. I think the game looks very interesting. I will not be creating anything. I'm not one of those games who ever goes in, like, I'm not one of those people who ever goes in and it's like, let me build something. I'll go in and play, other people's levels, but you could not catch me making any of this. But Lockleth, is this a game that makes you interested at all?
I mean, I build an Animal Crossing.
True. Yeah.
Are those skills gonna be
Yes.
used and helpful for me
100%.
in a game like that?
Entirely.
So I guess for that I would, but like I don't know. I'm not good with like I don't know, surviving apocalypse type of things. Like if an actual apocalypse happened, like
Game over.
if you don't see me within like 24 hours, just assume I've unalived. Like I I got I'm a
Unalived.
zombie now.
I got.
Yep.
Lockleth is going full clicker in no time flat. But this could be good for your Cozy to Pro series, right? As you make levels for other people to die in,
Oh God.
right? Right? Right?
The
Think about it.
strong language would definitely be in that video.
Oh my gosh, I'm all about it. Yeah, so this is cool. We're getting our first PlayStation Plus game confirmed already. And of course, this is something that Court and I have been talking at length about with both Tchia and Meet Your Maker hitting the service day one. Please continue to give us this. Please continue to do what Game Pass does so well and give us indies, give us third parties that hit the service when they come out. I think this is awesome. And this is easily a game I would have never played if it wasn't hitting the service, but this is definitely one I'll be checking out to try and run through some other people's levels, including Lockleth's Death Dioramas is what I'm going to call them.
It'll definitely be a Metaloclith stamp of approval.
Yes. All right, Lockleth, let's round out with some wonderful questions from our community, because if you want your questions read on the show, hop into the Discord, which is free to join. You can hang out with me, Lockleth, and everyone else. Head over to YouTube, leave them in the comments, or comment on our weekly Twitter post that goes live each and every week. Just like Ash_Trobot did in the Discord, saying, what's been everyone's favorite game of the year so far, Lockleth? What game have you enjoyed the most this year as of yet?
Just in general or
Yeah.
PlayStation?
No, in general.
In general. My pigeon brain can only think back a week. Like, what am I playing? And I've had so much fun with Tchia that's just on the top of my brain.
Fair.
And especially since I played it earlier today. However, I did start Bayonetta Origins
Nice.
as well.
Okay.
And I'm loving that game. Loving that game. So those two are high on my list at this moment that are new. Like all the other games I think of are like older games, but like newer ones, those are the two I would pick.
Nice. Yeah, as for myself, I really, really loved A Space for the Unbound. It's a fantastic indie adventure game that really like deals with a lot of mental health and deals with a lot. It's a fantastic, beautiful, beautiful game. And I'm going to throw in Like a Dragon Ishin, even though I haven't had a chance to start it yet. I have no doubt in my mind that game is going to be a game of the year contender for me. I can't wait to actually hop in and play it. Bowser asks, what is your favorite PlayStation franchise, Lockleth? What's your favorite PlayStation franchise?
Life is Strange, maybe, because I've actually played a lot of those.
Okay.
But I've played a teensy tiny, like minuscule bit of The Last of Us. So I feel like since Court's not here,
Okay.
I gotta call out the first, at least the first one. I've played just so small,
Just a
so
smidge.
small, but I've played some of that. So let's just claim that also since he's not here.
Perfect. And Lockleth, could you just do me a favor on behalf of Court? The second part is better than the first, right?
I have no idea. I've only played the first. So
Can you please say yes? Please.
I mean, sure, yeah,
Yes!
I'm on Matt's side.
There we go. Lockleth on behalf of Court confirming Last of Us Part 2 is better than Part 1. Thank you, Court. I knew you'd come around. As for myself, yeah, Last of Us is up there for me. I love Uncharted, but like Spider-Man could end up taking, like, Spider-Man's my favorite hero of all time. And the PlayStation game has been so good, and I cannot wait for the second one later this year. So I would say any one of those three, Spider-Man could ultimately end up being my favorite thing ever when Part 2 hits. But we will see. Nagachaka asks, with Resident Evil 4, Metroid Prime Remastered, and Dead Space all crushing it on OpenCritic this year, When will remasters or remakes be part of the Game of the Year category at the Game Awards? Or should we have a separate category for best remaster or remake of the year? Lockleth, do you have a strong opinion about this? Because I know a lot of people are very much in the camp of this game came out already. It's just a remaster. It's just a remake. It should not be considered for Game of the Year. Others feel differently, saying that, it's still a new game that hit this year. Do you have strong feelings about whether remasters or remakes should be considered Game of the Year, or do you think they should be their own category of best remake or remaster? Asks Nagachaka.
My initial reaction wants to say they should be their own thing because they are new, set for a new the new system.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, kind of let them rate against each other, especially if there's several. If there's only been one, then
Mhm.
maybe it's a Game of the Year contender, but if there's several, then maybe then they could run against each other type of thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
I flip-flop.
you flip flop. It's the answer is both. I don't know. For me, I don't know. If the game came out this year, it should be considered for Game of the Year. If Metroid Prime Remastered is competing against everything else that came out this year and is still in contention for the Game of the Year, that means that the quality of not just the base game, but of the remaster is to a quality that it's being considered for being one of the best games of the year. I don't think the fact that it's a remaster or a remake should be taken away from it. I do think remake, because Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space specifically are completely remade, and Metroid Prime Remastered had a lot done to it as well. I do think these games should be considered for Game of the Year category. If they can take out all the air out of the room, competing against brand new games that came out day and date that year, and they're still being talked about for the Game of the Year, that just means that those games are something special and should not just be left off to their own category, in my opinion, just because they came out once before. If they're that good, let them be that good. Let them fight and see what happens. Drellish with a great question asks, question for the show. How can we get Lockleth to be more engaged in the PlayStation ecosystem? As someone who enjoys Animal Crossing, what could be a good quote-unquote gateway game to entice her spending a little bit more time and discovering some awesome games? Lockleth, how do we get you to become one of us Sony ponies?
Well, the reason I'm a Nintendo girly is because the handheld. I can
Okay.
play handheld. I play handheld 95% of the time because, I just like it. I like my little cozy corner,
Mm-hmm.
the couch, the bed,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
my desk, wherever it goes, I can take it with me. I can take it always. But for games that I actually take the time and play it's the cozy games. I played Rime, which is Rime,
Mm-hmm.
all the way through, initially on PlayStation, even though it is available on Switch. I also have it on Switch, but I played it all the way through on the PlayStation. I played the first Life is Strange game on, or not the first one, the second one
Mm-hmm.
on the PlayStation as well. I'm playing The Last Guardian on the
Okay.
PlayStation
Nice.
currently also. So it's games like that where it's more puzzle driven, I guess would be my answer. So anything more puzzle driven. And then Chia as well with the exploration and just the fun bits of games is kind of my comfort space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a shooter person. So like if you're gonna suggest a Call of Duty, like we have all of them. That's my husband's cup of tea,
Mm-hmm.
but it is not for me.
And that's
I
totally
know
fair.
myself.
So what you're saying is we need to petition PlayStation for a Vita 2, something that you'll be able to take with you on the go, take with you all
Yes.
around, and then maybe we can get you to buy in more into the PlayStation
Oh
ecosystem.
yeah. Oh yeah. Handheld, ooh, forget about it. As soon as they hit the handheld, if they made another a Vita type system, yeah, I would be on top of it.
Okay, so there you go. PlayStation, we know you've been beating around the bush. We know that you let the Vita die. The PSVR 2 is cool and stuff, but we need another handheld. Give us the Vita 2, and Lockleth will champion that thing. I think that should be reason enough. Get on it now, post haste.
Yeah. You should have made it yesterday.
You should have made it yesterday. This should be already out in Lockleth's hands, and then she'd be wearing a PlayStation shirt right now.
Yes.
Come on.
You would
Yeah,
easily converted. Like,
easily peasily,
yeah.
as they say. Mr. Midas, the absolute homie at Mr. Midas Games on Twitter asks, what classic PlayStation game would you like to see get the Resident Evil 4 treatment? Mine would be Tenchu Stealth Assassin. Dude, yes, Tenchu was amazing. I remember playing those games as a kid. You were like a ninja running around. Those games were so much fun. I think Tenchu is a fantastic call. I really want to see the Jack and Daxter games brought back, like in full swing. I know we kind of got
Mm.
the original Jack and Daxter to some extent, but I love Jack 2 and Jack 3. I would really, really like to see those games brought back in a big and bold and beautiful way. Seeing those like dark and dingy cities that we got in Jack 2 and Jack 3 would be so, so cool. But Lockleth, do you have a classic PlayStation game that you'd like to see brought back in full force, built from the ground up again, and the power of the PlayStation 5?
Hmm. Like new, like one of the other characters being like the main character type of
So
thing?
like a remake, like a classic
Mm.
old like Parappa the Rappa back from like 20 years ago. If we got like a new Parappa in the year 2023.
Yes, that.
Did I just
Yes.
accidentally land on the answer?
Yes. I remember playing that on PlayStation 1, right?
Yep. Hmm.
Yes, I remember playing that with my brother. Yes, I miss those games. My initial thought was Crash Bandicoot, but those have already,
Those are back.
those are, yeah, they're already there.
Hmm.
And we have them as well. But yeah, Parappa the Rapper. Yeah, Parappa the Rapper. I forgot about that.
There you
That is a
go.
throwback for real.
That is a
Yes.
throwback. There you go. We want Tenchu. We want Parappa. And
Yes.
I like I said, I'd be stoked. I also want the PS1 Spider-Man games just because I think that'd be hilarious. And Metal
Mm.
Gear Solid's another one. Any one of those would
Yes.
be so good.
Hmm.
Our final question coming from Edward Varnell over on the Boss Rush Network at That Retro Code asks, do you think that there are people in the PlayStation community that are glad that Jim Ryan is trying to stop the Activision purchase? And do you think that would give them fuel to attack or retaliate against Microsoft? Could this split the community up in a negative way? So, of course, this is a story we've been covering over the course of the last year, and I'm sure we'll continue to do so until we finally get to the end of this Mad Lad parade. But Ed, I think you've kind of nailed that. I'm sure there are people in the PlayStation community. There is toxicity in every fandom, no matter what it is. There are toxic Avatar fans. There are toxic bronies. There are toxic everything and anything. And I'm sure that like I know I see them on Twitter. There are people actively campaigning, using anything that they can to kind of throw shade at Microsoft and at Xbox in a really, really unfortunate way. So I think that this is already happening. And I'm sure that Jim Ryan is kind of counting on the loud, minority in this case to kind of, really, really continue to beat, bang the drums and get upset on Twitter. This deal is going to happen regardless of what any of us possibly want and can do. But I do think that you will see an uproar initially before this will quickly die down, and life will continue on. Xbox is trying to be very nice with this. They're saying, hey, PlayStation, you can have Call of Duty for the next 10 years or whatever it is that they're doing. But, crappy people are going to be crappy people no matter what, Lockleth. But what do you think about this?
I think, even though nobody likes to admit it, and I mean, as a Nintendo fan,
Mm-hmm.
like at the end of the day, the Nintendo company, Xbox company, PlayStation, all of them are in it for themselves. They are a corporation
Mm-hmm.
trying to make money, trying to do their own thing, regardless of the acquisitions or friendships they've grown along the way. At the end of the day, they're gonna be thinking about number one,
Mm-hmm.
themselves. And like, why are we gonna get upset if people try to do something different? A company tries to do something different. Like, it's exhausting. It's tiring.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, do you still have the games you have right now that you can enjoy and play? Go play them. Get your mind off of this news. Like, I try not to stay in the thick of things.
Mm-hmm.
Cozy side of the internet, y'all. Come join me. Come over here. It's nice. We live in a lovely little bluebirds and pigeon brains lifestyle over here. And it's just it's we're better off
Mm-hmm.
just not getting upset over the little things. Like I get upset in a I'm actually joking type of way
Mm-hmm.
when I'm playing a game or talking bad about an Animal Crossing villager because what else do I have to do in my day?
Right.
Um, but it's never serious. Like those that are actually seriously upset about stuff like this, it's just go for a walk, touch grass, my dude.
Touch grass, my dudes, entirely. Yeah, I think that like I don't know, like we've already mentioned, people are going to do whatever they're going to do regardless of
Yeah.
how they're going to do it. Like we have no control in any of these situations, and again, go play the games that you can, go enjoy what you got, and
Yeah.
stop worrying about console wars. It's so absolutely unnecessary. Just let people do. Let people do them, you know?
Let them live.
Let them live. And all of you people who are going to get upset about this, what are we going to do, Lockleth? They should go touch grass. Okay.
Hmm.
Touch grass.
If you want to leave a hate comment, it's still a comment in the comments below. So like, bring them on.
Yeah.
I don't care.
You know what? You should go to our merch store. Buy like 50 shirts and then burn them
Oh
all.
yeah.
You know,
Oh,
really
yeah,
stick it to us. Please, please don't go buy 100 shirts. Please don't do that.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't go
I
buy.
bet you won't. Don't do it.
I bet you won't.
Mm-mm.
Don't go buy those and then be like, wow, these shirts are such great quality. I'm so sad I have to burn these because of what Matt and Lockleth said on the PlayStation Drive. Please don't go buy 200. Don't do that.
Don't you dare.
Don't
I
you
will
dare.
cry on the spot.
Yeah.
Don't you dare.
Yeah. And then definitely won't go to all you can eat sushi right after with that big fat paycheck. But that brings us to the end of the episode. Lockleth, thank you so much for coming and hanging out on the PlayStation Drive with me this week. It was awesome having you.
Yeah. Because like we said, console wars are dead. So like
Yeah.
this is why I'm here. Like I'm all over the place. I don't have an Xbox. Can't be doing that. Don't have no opinions.
No.
But we do have PlayStation in the house. I've played
There you go.
thing. But yeah, enjoyed being here.
It was awesome having you. And once again, a huge shout out to the Tchia devs for hooking us up with the key. We appreciate them very, very much. And of course, we can't close out the show without talking about our wonderful patrons, like our ultimate producers, Robbie Bobby Miller. Subscribe to Robbie Bobby's Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Robbie Bobby Miller. Trucker Sloth, Tony Baker from Quest 4 Pixels. Please subscribe to youtube.com/Quest4Pixels today. Jonathan Brown, the new album from PME is called Video Game Boy and is available on Spotify and Apple Music. Lee Navarro, the fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team. Links are in the show notes. Please go support these ultimate producers. Our platinum producers, Marcus McCracken and RJ Kern, and of course our gold members, Anna, Bauza, Cecily Carosa, Dallas Robbins, Drellish, Emily O'Kelly, Foolish Fuji, Jonas Young, Jose Jimenez, Marcus O'Neill, Tim Paulin, Sean Hannigan being back in the exclusive tier, Dano coming and joining us as a gold member, and of course Hopple in the gold, and Brian Reese in the exclusive tier, and of course Bob Loblaw at the gold member category. We appreciate all of you so very much. Lockleth, before we end, if people wanted to see and hear more from your cozy, wonderful self, where could they do so?
Well, you can find me here at Lockleth on YouTube. You can find me as part of Carpool Gaming as well. Part of the Nintendo Drive is my usual thing. You can find me over on Twitter at LocklethTWT or on Instagram at Lockleth. You know, all the things.
All the things.
All the things.
Please go and support Lockleth in all of the things and all of the places. Once again, please just don't go buy 250 of our shirts. As for myself, you can find me on Twitter at Matt_SilverSoul. We'll be back next week. We appreciate all of you so very much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. See you then. Peace.
Bye.